it's cause for us to call on our next guest who joins us here at the anchor desk. Fred Rustmann is the chairman and founder of the CTC International Group. He is a former CIA case officer, which uniquely qualified him to write the book entitled The Case Officer. Fred, it is good to have you back here on America's Forum.
Great to be here, Jay.
The job you used to hold, what would be the kind of work you would be doing today if you had officers assigned to the Paris station?
And you've been to Paris, right?
Yes, I
you
served in
there.
Paris for 4 years. I know Paris very, very well. I'd be staking out every mosque, and I'd be learning who's going in and who's coming out. I'd be recruiting good members of the Islamic community within the mosque to rat out the bad guys in the mosque. It's in their best interest to do this.
Were you surprised how quickly they were able to already have these suspects identified?
No,
not
at all. They knew who these guys were. Their surveillance is pretty darn good. The CRS is very good in France, and they know who the bad guys are and they know who the good guys are. Unfortunately, I think not only in France but here in the United States, organizations like CARE, for example, they don't step up enough to the plate. They need to come up and they need to show that they're in support of the United States and France, and that they're against these organizations and that these people are poisoning the well.
And as we look at this story unfolding, there's the old saying, hindsight is 20/20, but the fact that one of the brothers had been convicted and spent time in prison, if the French intelligence community is as capable as you portray it to be, how could someone like that fall through the cracks?
He didn't fall through the cracks. He was out there for all to see, but the French are appeasers. It's a socialist country. They appease, they appease, they appease. We're very, very, very much like that here in the United States. We allow people to stay here. We know they're bad guys, but they haven't committed a crime yet. They haven't killed 12 people. And when you look at this as a police investigation, that's what's going to happen. You're always going to be behind the eight ball. It's always going to be after the fact when we get these guys. We need good intelligence, and we need to squeeze the moderate Islam community. We need to make these people hurt a little bit because of the actions of these bad guys.
What do you mean by that when you say hurt a little bit?
I mean, perhaps we need to squeeze them on visas and immigration policies and things like that. Not allowing them into the country, let's say, delaying because of the actions of a few. And we know that most of the Muslims are just fine, but the actions of a few are poisoning the well. And we have to get them on our side, and they're not right now.
But do you think they're going to join that side, though, if you do what it is you're saying to do, which is not allow them in the country?
Well, I think
if you put the squeeze on these moderate Muslims.
Yes, I do. I think that they'll come along, because they're not going to like it when their grandmother and their daughter can't come to the United States, can't get the visa's delayed, or things of that nature. That's the kind of squeeze I'm talking about. They've got to step up to the plate. They've got to help us out in the mosques. We've got to have more recruits in the mosques telling us exactly who the bad guys are and what they're talking about and what they're planning. This is the only way we're going to thwart these kind of attacks.
When we come back, and we're glad you're going to stay with us, Fred, because obviously there's a lot of debate in this nation, and while the CIA focuses its attention overseas, you're talking about policies we need to enact here in the United States. There are some who say in any event there should be a moratorium on legal immigration into the country for the reasons you outlined, as well as many others. So what we will do is we will come back and talk more about the implications of what is ahead as we are joined by Fred Rustmann, who will stay through the break. We hope you will stay through the break with us as well, as we continue here on America's Forum right after this.